This episode of On the Limb podcast with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Douglas Barrels, located at 5504 Big Tyler Road, Charleston, West Virginia, 25313. Douglas Barrels has been handcrafting ultra rifle barrels for over 70 years. Their expertise is impressive and unmatched. If you want barrels made by meticulous craftsmen who take pride in their work and do not take shortcuts in production, give Douglas Barrels a call at 304-776-1431 or visit them on the web at douglasbarrels.net. Get your ultra rifle barrel today from Douglas Barrels, 304-776-1431.
Folks, welcome to another episode of On the Limb podcast with Nature's Voice Game Calls, where deer camp becomes a reality for every listener. Join us as we talk God, family, country, and everything outdoors. Kick back, relax, and have a listen. Now, here's your host and co-host, Mike and Dan.
Doesn't that sound good?
It sounds good. I like it. I like the new.
We coming in 2025 with a bang, people.
Thanks to AI.
AI. All I had to do was type it out, and he read it off.
That's right. There you go.
So, how's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing great.
Doing
Y'all
good.
right?
Doing good.
Yeah,
doing right.
2025 treating you good so far? Yeah?
Yeah, it's there.
It's there. It's here.
Yeah.
It's coming in.
Yeah, whether we want it to or not.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we got some pretty good changes coming up 2025 for Nature's Voice Game Calls. We are seeking 25 to 50 retail stores, mom and pop stores.
Chain stores, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
whatever
you want to call it. So we're hooked up with Elevate Outdoors Sales and Marketing, which is Gerald Bennett. He has
formerly known as
Warhead Archery.
Warhead Archery.
Yeah, he was the owner of Warhead Archery, and he just recently sold that and has went into some different ventures and journeys there. So we're going to take a ride with him for a little bit, and hopefully we can get into about 25 to 50 stores. We're going to push for no less than 25 a quarter and no more than 50 a quarter.
Sure.
So by the end of 2025, if it all works out, we could be in 200 and some stores.
Yeah.
So
Yep, that'd be great.
Yep.
Get our product out there to you guys a little bit easier.
Yeah, and we're going to start out with mouth calls first.
Yeah, see how it goes.
Duck calls have not been a big thing for us, so we may completely take those off of our product list.
Yep.
And just offer them custom as people want them, but they will not be on the website probably for purchase.
Right.
We founded the business on turkey mouth calls. We stay busy with that, and it's just, we don't have a place to spray the duck calls inside, so it kind of sucks to where we have to always make sure the temperature's right outside to spray them. People don't order them when it's hot outside normally.
No, that's not when season is.
So, when the season comes in, it's cold outside and you can't spray them, and we don't want to outsource that. So we want to try to get away from that other than just custom. If you want a custom one, we can do a custom one, but they're not going to be on the website for everybody to purchase.
Right.
Well, so, tonight we have Chris Ashley with Passion for the Wild and Wonderful Outdoors, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his season. But first, Dan's going to tell us about some exciting news we got coming up.
This is getting into the show seasons for us and a lot of other people. I know we got Hunt Chef. They're on the road right now to Nebraska.
Yep, you just started started show season with the archery trade show out there in Indianapolis this year. We was going to try to make it out there this year, but we couldn't.
Had some things come up.
Weather kind of got in the way of that, and but Hunt Chef is going to be in Charleston.
Yeah, they are now.
They were planning not to be because they had another show, but they worked it out to where they can be there now. So Hunt Chef Jeremy Critchfield and Kim will be there at the show.
Hopefully he does something special.
I asked him, I said, are you going to do some cooking stuff on stage? He was like, I don't know. He's like, they haven't asked me yet, but he was like, I'm pretty sure,
Well,
so
if he does,
something will go down.
We'll just make him cook for us.
But, like you were talking about Chris Lawrence. Chris Lawrence always does his live recorded podcast from there and his radio show.
His radio show, yeah.
In the mornings there before the show starts. So that goes out on 58 WCHS.
Yep.
And that's always a great show.
Yeah, and I know one of us usually tries to get on with Chris. He usually comes up and talks to us and asks us to partake in this 58 WCHS TV show or radio show rather.
Yep. No, he does an amazing job.
He does. He's been doing it a while.
So
he's good at it.
Yeah, very. Our year in review has dropped, and I have not listened to the whole thing, But
Oh my!
we've done. No, I listened to snippets of about every piece.
Sure.
There's 61 small files that I had to put in there, so we did 61 episodes last year.
Nice.
You know, that's
That's
pretty
with our
good.
lives and
Yeah, I mean, where we do
We're gonna-
lives at Cabela's and stuff
Sure.
like that, we normally have, and we do the ones at the Breathe, and we
Yep.
did Real Deal Outdoors. So we have 2 and 3, maybe 4 episodes come
Don't-
out of those things.
Don't forget Coastal Marsh.
And Coastal Marsh, yeah, we did that one. So we
That
got
was-
that content coming up. They're a new ad partner of ours,
Yes.
so they will be premiering their ad hopefully here in the next couple weeks.
We
And,
got. Yeah, we should have quite a few this year too coming up. Thinking about it, we got some pretty big lives scheduled for this year for sure,
Yeah.
especially in April.
Mhm.
That's
Working on a pretty big name right now. We're trying to seal the deal with the scheduling for that.
Yep.
If Country Bucks rings a bell, then you'll know who I'm talking about. So,
Yep.
But anyways, go over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts for all our past and present episodes. And don't forget about Podcast
Yep,
10
I
at
was gonna say.
checkout, outdoor-pro-shop.com for 10% off of your entire order at checkout.
Yep.
And without further ado, let's get to talking with Chris Ashley with Passion for the Wild and Wonderful Outdoors. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you guys?
good.
Oh, we're doing good.
Hey, we've had you on before with Alec from Vortex Optics.
Correct.
Yep.
So, how you been since then?
Say again one more time.
How you been since we talked to you there last time? I know we're going to get into your season, so we know it's been a pretty good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Been blessed, and was able to, I think, try to put a good video together there for Alec, where he was able to harvest a beautiful bird with Craig Dennison and I with Viper ammunition. So that was a first time for him being able to knock down a West Virginia bird. So that was a great time, and of course it went into season prep, and then into season, as you guys said.
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, that was a great episode that you all had there with Alec. And, we had him on the podcast, like Dan was saying, and we've since hooked up with him, and we're using Vortex stuff now.
Yeah,
So
we are. Love it.
You've actually
yeah.
got the big spotting scope.
I got one of their big spotting scopes here recently, and, man, I tell you, it's better than the one I had.
it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, that thing's a tank.
Yep. All right, Chris, so let's get into your Ohio deer. Yeah, I know you got a
Sure.
pretty good story behind that, so let's start out with that one.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think a little bit of background, but it was kind of, I say a 2-year quest, so it wasn't like a super long history with it.
Yep.
But this is a deer that in the 2023 season, I end up getting on some trail cameras. And then as I kind of shared the footage there in my YouTube video, I finally got on to him, I think it was November 7th of 2023, had him going through this pass-through property, just a small acres property that I've got permission on, and got on a trail that he was hitting and using a scrape, used my Tacticam Reveal cellular cameras to kind of learn and pattern what he was doing, and then thought, I'm just going to try to use persistence, play the wind right, get in there. And I was able to intercept him coming into my scrape one day there. Kind of caught me off guard. I was just messaging with a buddy about how I just started warming up and wasn't seeing much, and boom, just how they do, a big mature buck just shows up. And anyways, it's one of those, that you kind of hate after the fact, but you also cherish the moment. He was coming into that scrape, the wind switched, kind of blew over my back right to him, and you just sit there watching him just scan and check out the area. I'm pretty sure he just got a whiff of me, but he just sat there just doing what they do. Finally was just too scared of what he had smelled, I think, and ended up bugging out. And that was heartbreaking for me. If you guys have ever experienced that,
Yep.
I had that happen. Well, I had something like that happen to me in Illinois on a massive buck, but he didn't really spook. He just kind of turned around and walked back out the way he came, just nonchalantly, like, no, I'm not going any further. That's far enough on this trail. I'm going to go back.
Yeah, something's not right.
Yep.
And that's kind of the way I think mine was. But it still was heartbreaking. You sit there, and I think, in 2023, he was, as I said, probably a solid 140s, mainframe 10-point, just a good, still you could tell, good mature deer.
Sure.
And then later in the season, I had moved my stand over, trying to play that wind a little bit better to a different location. and I picked him up on the opposing hillside, locked down with a doe, and it was just pure chaos all morning watching him run different bucks off and chasing them out of the area before him and her finally moved out. But they had spent most of the morning in there with me.
Nice.
And then I ended up getting a lot of photos of him and video of him through late season to see that he had made it. And then that kind of led me into the 2024 season, where I ended up setting up a second stand for a different wind direction, just put up my cell cam on that single trail that he had been using, and was just going to put all my eggs in one basket, that I was going to wait and see if I picked him up on it. And I picked him up on it about 7 days before I went in to hunt, I believe it was. But I didn't go in. It was just one of those that, again, it's a pass-through property, so I felt like it's not the right time yet. There's nothing telling me he's committed to being in the area. And so I think it was November 5th, the morning of, I got a picture of him coming down off that trail. Right or wrong, I felt like I was reading his body language in that photo, like something had his interest. He was, moving with some intention, as I put it. And then that afternoon, I had 2 bucks that came blowing by the camera just back to back. And I thought, I bet there's a hot doe in that area. He was in that area last year, roughly the same time, locked down with a doe. And I bet there's a hot one in there, or at least a good chance. And so I'm going to go in. And so that was my first sit. I went in on the morning of November 6th, pouring the rain down. Fortunately, it didn't start until after, it started getting daylight. So I was able to get my tree umbrella up, my camera and everything set up. And it's one of those, I know if you guys have ever had it, you look across, you see movement, and I brought the binoculars up real quick, and boom, it's the doe, and right behind her is him. And I just started freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's him. And he just stayed there with her. She ended up coming down and bedding, facing me, out eye level at about, what was it? I think 40, 50 yards maybe, or maybe it was 60 yards. I think it was 60 yards. And then he just stayed up above her. And I don't know if you guys happen to see the video, but it was one of those that it's pouring the rain down. I am hunkered under the tree umbrella with my camera and myself and just literally clinging to the tree. And you just see it. All of a sudden, his complete body language changed. His ears perked up, and he was a little bit above eyesight from me across on the other side, and he nailed me. I know he did. And you just see him kind of just immediately turn, start walking up the hill away. And the only thing, in my opinion, that saved me was that bedded doe. He just kept looking back at her, and he ended up standing there watching with her bedded, and I'm standing, that is, for 2 hours straight.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those, it's like, oh my gosh, I am not moving to risk this deer. I don't care if my legs catch on fire. I'm dying. But I'm not moving on this deer.
Yeah, I've been in that situation before.
I'm sure you guys have had it. You sit there praying, mentally guiding the deer to which way you want it to go.
Mm-hmm.
And the doe gets up and she starts circling her bed. You ever see a dog that's getting ready to lay down? He just circles, and finally lays down.
Oh,
well, that's what she was kind of doing, and I'm just mentally guiding her, almost like she's a compass spinning, going, no, yes, no, yes. And
nice.
Finally, she dropped and started coming down into the hollow right behind me. And, of course, you guys maybe know, but that's when my shakes started. And I'm thinking, oh, my gosh, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's where my trail comes up out, is that little creek bottom. And I thought, she is going to walk this deer right by me at 20, 25 yards. Of course, you guys are sitting there thinking, am I going to do a left-facing wall pedestal? Am I going to do a right-facing wall pedestal? And he goes over and checks her bed. And I'm like, okay, great. He's pulled. He's hooked. And she drops down and walks right past that trail and keeps going down the creek bottom. And I thought, oh, crap. As I'm watching, even when he went to that bed, he would go to the bed, sniff, and stare right at me, like bullets right through me. And I'm like, I'm not moving. This is the second time I've maybe had a shot opportunity at this deer. I'm not going to risk it with moving this camera. And he'd literally he'd drop down in the hollow, and he'd walk maybe 10 yards, boom, stop, just stare right at me. Walk 10 yards, stop, stare right at me. And I just thought, I'm sorry, I'm not going to risk not getting a shot opportunity at this beautiful buck. And so he stayed on the other side of the creek. She walked by at, I think, maybe 35 yards, I think.
Wow.
And as he walked by a kind of big bushy beech tree, I ranged an opening ahead of him on the other side of the creek at like 45. And so when he stepped out into it, I gave him a grunt, and he kind of moved off and quartered hard on me. And then I hit him again, and he turned and looked at me. And I tried to quarter it up through him on that back last rib area. Heard the big quack, couple big bounds, and then he just started walking up the hill and away from me. And, of course, I tried to use that opportunity to scan his opposing side to see if I saw any kind of an exit wound, get a feel for what I was dealing with. And he kind of walked off, and that's when I kind of sat there saying, okay, well, what am I going to do other than give him some time? And the shakes really started, and trying to figure out what you're going to do. And I don't know if you guys ever had it where a situation where rain is in the forecast, and then it adds that layer to it that, it starts raining, and I'm sitting there going, okay, this could be a buck of my lifetime. What do I do? I don't want to bust him out. I feel like it was a good shot.
Right.
So,
and then you're losing blood trail.
Safe. I end up going down, getting down, seeing where I had good blood, and backed out.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you guys know, you guys work with Sean Butler there. He's a friend of mine now. And it's one of those, too, that I advise anyone, reach out to anyone that is not emotionally connected to your situation and let them help calm you down and talk some sense into you and calibrate you a little bit, and that's what I was doing with Sean and some other friends and stuff, just reaching out and going, hey, boys, here's what I'm dealing with. Here's what I'm seeing. What's your thoughts? And, got some really good advice from Sean. He's like, hey, sit there, give him till 3, but if the rain comes, go ahead and be very, very cautious. And that's when the track job started,
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
but
no, go ahead.
Okay. Yep. So, moving on with it is I end up giving this deer several hours, kind of picked up the trail. And I don't know if you guys, again, saw the video, but it was just, as I put it, just a great, great blood trail. The kind that you just can walk full speed and you don't even have to worry about looking in the leaves until it kind of leveled out up on top. And, of course, I'm sitting there going, this deer is going to be laying as I crest the top of this hill. He's just going to be laying there piled up. I'm going to go nuts. This is going to be awesome. Peek up over the hill, and I can see for 60, 70, 80 yards and no deer.
Yeah.
And so the blood trail gets a little bit lighter because, of course, I was a steep angle down on him and I didn't have an exit. So I figured once he got on flat, he would not be bleeding near as much as he was going up the hill. So I was still able to follow it, and as I was going up towards a big pine thicket, deer just started blowing out everywhere. And, of course, that's when my heart just sank, and I thought, oh, my gosh, you dummy, you just completely blew it. You just chased him out. And, man, it had me spooked, but then I thought, well, I'm going to at least go up and find his bed to confirm it was him. And so I started, moving on slowly, and, of course, I see that maybe Sean or someone there made a comment, but, one of the things that I really like to do when I'm tracking is I leave breadcrumbs with toilet paper.
Okay.
And so with that, I can get a line of reference. If your blood gets thin, try to be able to see which direction, what trail they might be traveling. And so I was laying down breadcrumbs with toilet paper. I found that it ended up going around that part of the pine thicket, so I felt good. And then I got to a place finally that I'm like, okay, you haven't blown him out. You just had a heart attack 5 minutes ago when you thought he did. Let's just go ahead and back him out and give him some more time. So I sat down. As I was sitting there kind of scanning around trying to see where he might be, I ended up hearing some rustling in the leaves, heard like a snort or something, and I thought, man, is there a deer on him? Is that him? And again, the rain has stopped. Let's just be smart about it. Let's back out. Go pack up your camera equipment, give an update, this and that. And what was funny is looking back, when I was giving my update, I was talking about it that, hey, for all I know, this deer might be just around the corner, laying there piled up, and I'll have a buck of my lifetime. And anyways, get back up there, and no joke, I only take like 3 or 4 steps, and I look, and here what I thought had been a downed tree was him laying there the whole time at maybe 50 yards from where I'd sat.
Oh, man. That's funny.
That's crazy. Well, Chris, we're going to take a break real quick and hear a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back to get more into the story.
Sounds good.
This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Outdoor Pro Shop, LLC. Outdoor Pro Shop is a family-owned and operated firearms dealer and sporting goods retailer. They have pay-over-time options, a rewards program, and customer service satisfaction that is unmatched. They might not be the biggest, but they strive to be the best. Contact them today at 240-360-1298 or visit them on the web at www.outdoor-pro-shop.com. That's Outdoor Pro Shop, 240-360-1298.
Hey, guys, welcome back here. We always do our Salute to Valor. So tonight, our Salute to Valor is actually going to be another famous person that most everybody in the world knows because, like I said, we are struggling to get people to give us some feedback and everything for some people to salute. So, guys, if you have anybody, family member, friends that would be willing to be saluted on our podcast, we would absolutely love to have their information so we can get that out there and salute them and thank them for their service. So, like I said, tonight our Salute to Valor is going to be Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash joined thousands of his fellow young Americans at the time of his enlistment in the U.S. Air Force in 1950. He went to basic training at Lakeland Air Force Base and technical training at Brooks Air Force Base, which are both in Texas.
Wow.
Cash was then assigned to the 12th Radio Squadron Mobile of the U.S. Air Force Security Services out of Landsberg, West Germany. And legend has it that while transcribing Soviet Morse code, Johnny Cash picked up on news of the death of Joseph Stalin. He was the first American to know about Stalin's death.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. Like, I knew he was military because he's, obviously he's one of my absolute favorite singers, but I did not know about the Morse code and all that, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's a lost art in reality, so that's pretty cool information to find out.
Yeah, I didn't even know that about him.
You didn't know he served?
No, I didn't.
Oh, really? There's a lot of people, like, going through and looking up people, like, to salute that's, famous-wise, what have you, people would know. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people I've learned about. I was like, wow, no kidding.
Yeah.
Did not have a clue.
You've said a bunch of them here on the podcast that I never even knew about.
Right. Honestly, the very first time he ever used a famous person, and he said, I got somebody famous, and the first thought that came to my mind was Elvis. I mean, everybody knows Elvis served.
Yeah, we'll probably we'll do him for the...
I'm just saying, that's the only famous person I knew that really served. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Anyway.
So, anyhow, back to you, Chris. Let's go ahead and finish a little bit on that story, and then I got some other questions for
Chris, you're telling us, you're into the intricate parts of the story now. How was it self-filming this?
How was it?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty difficult, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, for me, and anyone that knows it that tries to self-film, especially with rainy conditions, you're trying to protect your equipment. For me, I'd even got so wrapped up in and committed that I wasn't going to risk spooking the deer. I never even reached up to hit my remote to turn on my second angle GoPro. But,
oh, wow.
It was one of those, again, that deer had saw something. He was obviously trying to pick it off. I'm obviously sitting up there with a rather large camera, all my camera arm, my gear, the tree umbrella. And it makes it difficult. That's what I don't think a lot of people can appreciate until they try doing it.
Yeah.
Self-filming has definitely cost me bucks since I started doing it.
That's where I was going to go. I was going to ask you a little bit about self-filming and how your experience with it is and all of that.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, and it's there's a lot of stuff you're doing at one time and still trying to focus in on that buck coming in.
Well, I've tried I've tried to use my phone or whatever, little bipod, tripod, whatever. In the moment, I forget. By the time it's there and ready, I'm like, oh, well, I didn't get none of that.
You might
deer's down, but I didn't film none of it.
To hit record.
Yeah, I got the Dave syndrome where you don't hit record.
Jeez, thanks, guys.
I try to treat it almost like like shooting your bow with muscle memory.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of try to go through it in my head of the steps you take, you know, draw, anchor, level, aim, settle the pin. Same thing with the camera, you know, I sit there, hit the remote, verify it's red, hit the, you know, for second angle, hit the main, try to make sure it's red and go through those motions. But yeah, it's cost me turkeys. It's cost me deer. Absolutely. But, you know, whenever I do get the video content and have that memory for a lifetime, I love being able to capture it, edit it, and share it with others.
Yeah, for sure. And you do a great job.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So this buck, is it it was 13 point, correct?
Correct. Yeah, he ended up having double split brows, you know, some matching split brows on each side, and kind of a little sticker off of, I think it was the right main beam here, and end up going just, you know, unofficially 155 and 6/8.
Wow. Now, is that your personal best?
No, I've got a West Virginia deer that's just a little better.
Okay.
Nice. So how many deductions did you have off of this since it's non-typical?
Say it again.
How many deductions did you have off of this since for the non-typical?
Honestly, I never even looked at deductions. I'm a gross guy.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I didn't know with it having the kicker, I didn't know if it was going to be, you know, how much you do off with that.
Well, the little one too is only like an inch and a half, and
I got you.
You know, he's definitely stronger on his right side than his left. But I think me and a buddy was looking at it the other day, and it might be like around 10 inches deduction.
Oh wow,
That's not bad at all.
Yeah, no, that's pretty
Well,
good buck.
let's get into the last part of your story there. Continue.
Oh, okay, yeah. So again, you know, I end up, as you said, and to bring in the filming part and talking about it, you know, what I end up doing is I was down doing all the tracking and stuff is really just switch over to the GoPro and just kind of do point of view and use it as the opportunity as I was going along. And anyways, you know, came up on the deer, and as I said, I could literally see him from where I'd sat down on the ground for a half hour waiting, and where I was standing also too. Was he expired at that point? I don't know. But I know he was stiff when I got back to him about an hour and a half later.
Yeah.
And I hit right where I wanted.
Nice.
I'd hit the last two back ribs and was trying to quarter it up through him, and I think that they had kind of deflected a little bit to where I didn't get into the lungs and came more almost towards the back of the lungs across the liver and into the other opposing ribs, and it was just sticking right behind the skin, just quite hadn't punctured. And I was blessed. I definitely want to thank the neighbors. You know who you are if you're listening. That, you know, I called them and a couple other neighbors in case the deer did get off the property to have permission to go ahead and continue pursuing, tracking him.
Yeah.
And then once I did locate him, you know, I was kind of sharing in our successes with the neighbor because him and I both was watching this deer the previous year, and he offered to go ahead and break into his sanctuary to help me be able to get this deer out, him and his boy.
Wow, that's awesome.
And, that was awesome.
That's it. I mean, that's a great feeling to have neighbors that you can rely on like that too. You know, there's a lot of times you get into places where you don't get along with your neighbors. It's always a lot easier when you can get along with them.
Yeah,
for sure.
Sure, and it's a blessing too. You know, I can only hope that I can repay that favor because you know, it was awesome celebrating it with him and his young boy.
Yeah,
there was none of that kind of oh dang man, I wish you hadn't killed it, and we did. It was all celebration, and again, for me, it was just thankfulness of them being willing to help me take it out. You know, we built a great relationship last year when I first reached out to him and got to know him, and just again, very blessed to be able to put an end to the book with this chapter closing of this deer that, you know, that was the target deer I was after, and to be blessed to harvest him on my first sit on that property was amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Field dressed at 200 pounds, correct?
Yes, sir.
Good sized.
How many bags of meat did you get for that one?
Well, I had actually was donating that deer, so most of the deer I've been trying to donate to friends and families.
Awesome.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Well,
so your boy got one this year too, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
That's his first one?
His second one.
Second one. Okay, cool. Nice.
How old is your boy?
Yep. My boy just turned 12.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
Yep. So he was able to harvest another Ohio deer. It was one of those after I killed my big Ohio. He didn't act like he was going to hunt this year. Last year we went and I got him on a deer first sit. That deer field dress 205 that he killed last year.
Wow.
And
Gosh.
he didn't act like he wanted to go this year, but then all of a sudden once I killed my big one, he was like, yeah, Dad, I want to go hunting.
Yeah.
It
Got
always,
that. Yep, brought that back around.
always gets him back in there.
Now, what he end up getting,
Whatever it takes.
was his a buck as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, his was a specific buck that I was targeting for him. We went on the first sit and ended up seeing, I think we ended up seeing 7 bucks. Again, that's why I love my Antler King food plots and water holes. You know, people talk about it. And of course, you guys relate. You remember how hot and dry it was?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that's where I told him again, you know, after our first sit and his first year when we killed on opening day, I told him, I said, look, man, it's 80 degrees out. This buck or these deer are going to get up and they're going to hit water.
Mm-hmm.
And not to mention our nice green lush food plots, with all the water that's in those plants, that's going to give them some of that moisture content they need as well. So we went right back to same blind again and had some excitement. We saw him cross the food plot earlier in the evening, out of range, a couple other nice deer too. And then we had a doe off to our left that popped out of the thicket. And I told Mason, my boy is Mason, and I said, Mason, you need to get ready and sit up, put your phone down. That doe is looking back in that brush, and you guys know what that means when that doe is sitting there looking back in the brush.
Oh, yeah, something behind her.
Yep.
I mean, get ready, boys.
Yep.
And she ends up just taking off. And all of a sudden, boom, I pick him up in the thicket, and I'm like, Mason, get ready, get ready, get ready. And so anyways, that buck walks out in the food plot, and again, it was kind of the way I felt with my Ohio buck. He just sat there scanning that plot and looking back and checking that brush forever. And my boy Mason, it was hilarious. You know, when he first crossed that plot, I asked him, I said, well, did that get you excited? He's like, yeah, you know, it was okay kind of thing, you know, acting tough. And I was thinking, oh, boy, I was excited. And so when this one stood out there forever in front of him, I was dying laughing, guys. That crossbow was just sitting there. If it would have been a helicopter, it would have taken off flying in the air. That thing was just shuddering back and forth. And I was, too. I mean, I know I was just as nervous as he was. I'm sitting there panting on camera. He's panting. And finally, you know, I got to give my boy props. You know, he sat there. He knew the shot that he needed to make. He's like, Dad, I need him to take one more step. I was like, I know. And I was getting tempted to move him and say, let's take that front shot. And all of a sudden, he just started to the water hole. And I grunted and stopped him. And, of course, you know, I don't know if you guys saw it, but my boy Mason was just like, Dad, what's the yardage? And I think I told him whether it was 25 or whatever it was. And got the deer stopped for him. He got his composure, squeezed her off, and that's all she wrote, man. I mean, he's done awesome for only killing 2 deer, and they were great bucks.
That's awesome.
Yep, that is.
So, you talking a little bit about your food plots and everything. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the habitat work that you do and how you're creating and building up your food plots?
Sure. So what I'm doing is I'm working with the NRCS, and I'm affiliated with like the EQIP program, if you guys are familiar with that, where they'll actually provide you money and funding to do a lot of the work that you would already be doing otherwise. So
nice.
For me, a lot of the initial work was doing invasive removal with like autumn olive, tree of heaven, multiflora rose, grapevines,
Sure.
Those kinds of things, Japanese barberry bush. And so what I've really been doing is clearing. I think I've worked through so far maybe 15 acres by hand.
Oh, wow.
Doing that kind of clearing. So, you know, flush cut with, you know, what we call really cut stump, and then herbicide application, and then also foliar application. And then this year I also, with them, I had a big contract. I say big contract, but, you know, the initial one was to do, I think, maybe 7 or 8 acres of what I'm calling FSI. So I was doing forest stand improvement. I'm not really looking to do TSI as far as trying to improve the quality and the money of the timber. I'm trying to more build the habitat with just trying to build cover,
Sure.
get the daylight forest floor.
Gotcha.
And so I end up knocking that out. And I think that was really a big thing that helped on the property this year. And I did also, too, a lot of beech tree removal. again, just trying to get stuff on the floor, let the light in. And then, the other stuff that I always do, which is food plots, trying to manage the water holes. We've done fruit tree plantings. And then what we're getting ready to do here coming up in the next year or so is prescribed fire. Again, trying to get into some of those areas that have just so much heavy leaf litter that the light never ever hits the ground to really get any kind of growth. But again, all these things are going to promote both the turkeys and the deer. Well, all the habitat, really, all the animals.
Yeah. Talking about that prescribed fire, I've seen quite a bit of that last year. It was really the first time I've kind of got to experience that out in Missouri. They did a lot of that on these big open fields and these big habitat farms and stuff. That was pretty interesting. And I got to talk to a guy about it a little bit, and he was like, yeah, this really helps, cover crops grow and all that too. He said it puts the nutrients back in the soil, and it helps bring life back to the ground.
Well, one thing.
Early succession growth.
Yep. Definitely. Ward does a lot of that on his property. Him and his son.
Yeah, I've seen him do it, but I'm like firsthand. We was on
like
a site.
actually live doing.
Yeah, we was on a site, and they were like, "Hey, we're going to be burning this whole section." I'm like, all right, it won't affect us, but thank you for, thanks for letting us know. Because we are working on a gas pipeline. So,
Well, the longer that the snow stays on the ground, it's better for the greens and everything, anyways, because of the nitrogen that it traps into the soil with the snow and stuff. So it's good.
Yeah, that's why it's always really green after a good snow year.
Yep, it sure is, especially coming into spring like that. Yep. So, Chris, tell us a little bit about your West Virginia buck. What part of the state was that taken in?
That was Wirt County.
Okay.
I've hunted there many a times.
Wirt County's got some nice bucks.
Yeah, thank you. I was fortunate. I was mainly focused over in Ohio and then also on some other bucks in the Wood County area. And we've had that deer on camera, all summer. And, really what we've been trying to do with our properties was to try to let them get up into like the 4.5, 5.5 plus range.
Sure.
But some of the neighbors have picked up on what kind of stuff we're doing, the habitat work, the deer that we've been able to produce in the area. And they've been kind of putting the hammer on the deer to where we just aren't able to get the 4.5, 5.5 anymore. And I thought, well, he's a good 3.5-year-old deer. I've been hunting my butt off. I'm going to see if I can go target him. And was fortunate, I think, on the second sit, again, leveraging, I'll keep saying it, man, my Antler King food plots with the water hole combination. It's a deadly, deadly combination. And same thing with that one. I had set up in my blind, and, another blessing, too. My family helped me build this elevated platform this year that I ended up putting a big pop-up blind on, but it was a good family thing to do together of building this thing.
Yeah,
and
that
I thought
was
it would
awesome.
Be somewhere where I could get the kids, too, if I need be. But got up in the blind and was sitting there, had some does and fawns that were in the food plot early, and then they kind of left. And then all of a sudden, oh, gosh, that's another one I'm embarrassed to tell you about. But I got in the blind. I don't know if you guys have ever done this, especially most of my spots over in Ohio, I don't have cell service. So once you're in the tree, you're just isolated, right?
Sure.
So I got up in that blind, and, of course, I got a cell service there on top of the hill at the farm. So next thing you know, I'm checking Instagram, and I'm checking Facebook, and I'm doing all this. And I'm like, my one foot hurts, and it's sweaty, so I'm going to take the boot off and let it air out some. And lo and behold, I look up, and that buck is out there eating my food plot. I've got one boot on. I don't have a release on my hand. My bow's laying on the ground. I don't have my face mask on, but I was definitely up to date on everything going on Facebook.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. I end up getting my release on, throw my mask on, and at that point, I'm like, if that deer comes walking into this plot or water hole close to you, you're going to feel unbalanced standing on one boot. So I had to hurry it up and slip that boot on, tie it on, and it just worked, man. He came on a string right straight to my water hole at like 25 yards, and I was able to stand up. But again, you talk about the difficulty of filming. I I didn't have the foresight to sit there and recognize that I had articulated my blind in a way that the corner blocked my water hole. So whenever he walked in, he walked off camera behind the corner of my blind. I knew I wasn't going to have him on camera, but at the same time, it was like, guys, I don't care. I'm smoking this deer. And I was able to go ahead and make a great shot on him. Again, he ended up going ahead and just running down over the hill and dropped dead in a pile of all the tree of heaven that I'd hack and squirted the year before. So it was again another blessing to be able to have a beautiful deer, and again, being able to take advantage of the food plots and the water holes. I just can't go on and say enough about how they really produce opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a couple things real quick. With West Virginia moving to that 2-buck limit, you think that's going to help people? Because I know, like you was talking about up in Wirt County, I know some old boys up there. They're kind of the Brown It's Down gang. How do you feel that that's going to affect West Virginia with moving to that 2-buck limit?
Well, I'll be honest. I think it's going to help. Here's where I'm at. People that hunt illegal are going to hunt illegal.
Yeah, absolutely.
The people that are law-abiding citizens, they're going to follow it, and I think it's going to kind of switch a little bit, because that's the mentality I was going to be in when I knew we were switching. Was okay. This first deer, I want to make sure that he's a good representative deer.
Sure.
And then after that, I'll go after trophy. And again, part of it trying to get content and footage, but also, too, trying to challenge myself each year. I think that's what you're going to see with a lot of people, that they're going to sit there and say, look, I need to start making these deer count if I want to go ahead and, not tag out too early. And I think that's what we're going to see. I think we even saw, if I remember right, the WVDNR reported that deer kills or deer numbers were down.
Sure, yeah.
Was it related to the heat? Was it related to miscellaneous things? Acorn crop that varied this year for different people? I'm not sure, but I think it also was definitely impacted by the fact that we changed the buck limit. That's where I'm at. What do you guys think?
I think it's buck limit too, but I also think people were commenting on our page there about the various things that can happen and that is happening. I think that people are not checking deer in like they should be, because it's just it's basically on the honor system.
Well, yeah. Well, we also had discussions on that too, about they're only basing that off of West Virginia rifle season 2. And a lot of people are stating,
yeah, that's true. There was a lot more.
A lot of people stating that they think there's an increase in archery kills because of it. Early season kills, have you?
Yeah, that's what they were saying.
Mm-hmm. I see that too.
Yeah, and I can see that. So what we need is West Virginia DNR needs to release a full year season archery crossbow, muzzleloader, rifle, heritage season, have you, even that, and give us a full on.
There's been some nice bucks killed during the heritage season.
Oh yeah, man. If honestly, I come up to your house the other day, it was still a heritage season was still in, and I seen a massive 8-point. I'm like, man,
yeah.
If I was in the woods, I could have probably got him.
I remember you telling me about that.
He was huge.
Luke Humphreys just got a nice one.
Yeah, nice.
I think it was right before the last day there, before the season went out.
Yeah. But yeah, I think.
Well, and I think. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think too, if you're a person like in my case that has a good late season food source, you can really put the hammer down on these deer. I mean, that's like my one food plot here locally. It's only an acre and a half, and it's a good thing and a bad thing, I know. But I end up counting one night over 30-some deer in that food plot in front of me. The problem was, though, is none of them had horns.
Really?
Or all antlers. So obviously the buck-to-doe ratio is way out of whack.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got so much of those purple top turnips and radishes that they are just right now in the snow, just devouring and digging them up, eating on them.
Yeah. When you're talking about that buck-to-doe ratio, in areas that you don't see much sign, do you see the buck-to-doe ratio being less?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it kind of varies. I mean, you still have a lot of these, young bucks that are still, I think, to do a lot of movement. right or wrong, they might be moving a little bit more than the big mature bucks. I think the big mature bucks sit there and they know when a doe is going to come in. They know they don't need to waste their energy. They can conserve it. And the young ones are kind of like a young teenager.
Yeah.
They're just jacked and running around all like crazy trying to find a dance partner.
Yeah.
My biggest fear or thing that I ran into, in my opinion, this year, and that you see is it's just so easy for them to find the next dance partner. I feel like it's hard to get them into a hunting area to where you can actually have the opportunity, that they just don't have to search hard.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I feel like, too, with some of our temperatures that we had, I feel like we got pushed into a lot of nighttime rut activity as well again.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Camera wise, for me, that's what that was showing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, big time.
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
But I say
go
that
ahead.
you will get better rut activity with lower deer numbers. It does make sense, but
Yeah,
I
think so.
there's a balance in there that you want the doe numbers to try to give them that opportunity to go from one partner to the next partner, because otherwise, in my opinion, if you don't have them, they're going to go where they are.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's a good mix there, but definitely too many does is a factor. I think. The
Well,
place that we hunted this year was a new piece of property we hunted, and the buck to doe ratio there is very small. It's not, there's not a lot of does.
Oh,
We seen probably, I'd say we probably seen 8 does to 1 buck, 2 bucks.
nice.
So
How was your deer sign and activity in that area?
it was incredible. I mean, it was like every 5-10 foot they were making scrapes and rubs. That's why I was saying I think that in a lower buck to doe ratio area, I think the sign seems to be, just from that experience there, it seems to be more and more active.
Yeah.
The rut seems to get more active in those areas.
I got you. I know I saw on our Ohio property, which again, I think a lot of it had to do with the habitat work. I saw the most buck sign I've ever seen in my life this year.
We up on the hill, there was a lot of buck sign this year.
There was.
But I also seen, I had 11 different bucks on camera this year.
Yeah, but how many does did you have on there?
Oh God, I don't know.
Not very many.
Yeah, not very many. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. You have
Probably-
a lot of sign in your area, and it's always in that one little section right there.
yeah.
But
And I'm covering 40. Well, I mean, it's 80 acres, but I'm really only covering a 40 acres section of that.
yeah, and there's
canvas.
a good travel area there for
yeah,
on that
and I know where
ridge
they travel. So
that branches off a couple
Yeah.
of different ridges. It's not just that one.
right,
I mean, it's you've got 2 or 3 that it cuts off there on,
yeah,
and those bucks can travel a good 10, 15 miles if
easily.
they wanted to.
Yeah.
So, but you did have a couple in there that you hadn't ever seen
Yeah.
before.
yeah. I got some new ones coming this year, and as of right now, they're still alive. So
Yeah.
that's a plus. Hopefully they got some breeding done, and they'll continue to give them genes out, because there were some nice ones for sure.
How was gun season for you guys in your area? Did you feel like you were hearing a lot of shots or not?
No,
No.
I did not.
Not really.
And I was up in northern part, and I've probably heard the whole time we hunted maybe
Well,
3 or 4 shots.
I will say this: I heard a lot more shots than what I should have heard for where I was hunting,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, because there's not very many people.
yeah,
allowed
there
to hunt
shouldn't
up
have been people up there, but they snuck their way in, and I heard
heard-
some shots that I'm like, okay, why are you right there? Because I know who should be there, and you're not the person that should be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know on Dad's place too. Especially for the first day, it was way down as far as
Yeah.
the shots I heard.
Like,
What do you think the reason is? Do you think it's lack of hunters? People being more selective? What do you think?
I think a lot
think
of
it's
it
a
is
little
lack
of
of
both.
hunters too. Honestly, I do think less people are getting in the woods.
Yeah.
I know, just me personally, I was way more selective. I passed on like 5 bucks this year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you did pass on that one nice buck. You should have.
No, he missed that one.
Oh, did you miss that one?
No,
No,
I didn't take a shot.
Oh,
this
that's right. You didn't. That's right. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
The one that he had a picture of in the field. I was
That's
like,
right. Yeah, that's right. His neighbor
man,
killed it for him.
Yeah.
year. Okay.
I was like, man, you should have probably killed that buck. Yeah. He let him go.
It happens.
It does. All right, Chris, let's talk a little bit about your YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's where I was getting ready to go. Good thing.
So you've got roughly 1.7 thousand subscribers, 266 videos currently, and you do a lot of those videos that you do are probably shorts, aren't they?
There's a decent number of them that I'm doing as shorts, yes, sir. A lot of just, more of like little quick tips, tricks, or maybe sharing some game camera pics of things, something that might be interesting. But I really am trying to leverage on my channel, primarily trying to be educational.
I got you. Yeah, awesome. I've seen a lot of that on your page, and it's really good content. We have seen an uptick in the shorts. Anything from 9 seconds to like 20 seconds, man.
Well, because this generation has such a short brain span, I think.
Well, I think it's just how everything's platformed. How everything is set up because, YouTube right now, if you click on one video, you can scroll.
Yeah.
Just like you do on all the other platforms.
Yep.
You can do it on TikTok and you can do it on Instagram. And, people just, you're scrolling through and you see a couple seconds of something and you think, oh, I want to go back and maybe watch a little more of that.
Right.
But, as you're saying, attention span.
Yeah. You got to have something that really piques their interest right off the bat almost anymore, it seems.
I'm 42, so I got about 42 seconds of attention span.
Huh. What's that?
Yeah, sorry, I drifted off.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
Sorry, drifted on there. Pterodactyls.
Oh, look at the deer.
Oh. No, have you seen the uptick in shorts like that with your page?
Well, I think that'd be interesting because I've been extremely frustrated lately. I had some shorts that were doing really good. I think I have one that did either 300,000 or 500,000.
Oh, wow.
Man.
And here lately, though, I've been struggling, and I don't know whether it's the change in the algorithm to where, like you said, I've been doing more of just getting right up to that 1 minute that I'll definitely have to try that, 9 second, 18, 20 second thing like you said. But it's one of those that, my wife, she's an influencer and does really, really well with all of her Facebook and content she does on her beauty products. She tries to keep me level and is like, hey, just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah,
sure.
If you're putting out the content and you want things to be educational and stuff, things will happen. And as long as you're happy with what you're doing and putting it out. So that's what I'm trying to stick with is as long as I'm still putting out content that I think might be good tips that I've learned from or that might help others. If it's 20 people that view it or if it's 300,000 people that view it, so be it.
Sure. Now, do you see a uptick in different times of posting? Do you have a certain time that you post?
Yeah, I've been trying to use like where YouTube sits there and says, hey, here's the time and peak hits for your viewers.
Right.
Whether it's Sunday from noon to 9 or whether it's Tuesday nights or whatever. So, yeah, I've been trying to play that to the best I can. And then also, too, there's some of the experimentation that you sit there and you go, well, Wednesday night was a flop at 7 p.m., so let's try Thursday at 6 p.m.
Sure.
So that's another reason, too, for putting out a lot of different ones. And then, like you said, various content things you might try, but I just don't have necessarily a lot of the flexibility and attraction that some of the other people have to get the big hits on these shorts.
That's crazy. You do have one that's 300,000 views.
That's awesome.
And
you know what's funny? I don't even say a word, I think, in that video.
That's nuts.
Maybe that's the key.
Well, it's funny because I think it hits such a broad audience. So here's the thing that's completely new to me that my kids brought on to me is this whole video watching of things that people feel are relaxing. And so, whether you're watching the yard being mowed or, I don't know, a waterfall kind of thing. And I made a mock scrape, and there was people commenting about how peaceful or relaxing it was for them.
Huh.
I'm telling you, I've been watching
It's
these beaver
that
dam
ASMR.
removals. Yeah,
Would they blow them up?
Well, no, like just guys just getting out there with a freaking rake and
Oh, yeah.
and I'm like, why am I watching this? But it's so
I
relaxing.
watch that where they remove it from like the outlets or the pipes under the roads and stuff. They pull the debris away, and you just watch the water just drop down and go away. It's like,
Well,
man, that was so
so
nice.
relaxing.
I watch a lot of food.
Yeah, I bet
cooking
you do.
and stuff.
Every 2 hours, you
I
got to
believe it.
eat, so we know
I
you
do.
watch a lot of
Yeah,
food.
I'm like a baby.
Yeah. We're going to be making them a new bottle here in a minute. It's almost been time.
Anyways, I watch a lot of cooking videos, so I have been drawn to these ones to where they're cooking by the riverside. They'll cook on a limestone, or
Yeah.
they'll cook right there on the side of the
Drill a
creek.
hole in a log and
Yes.
Yeah.
And they don't talk.
Yeah.
They're just there.
They got
cutting
their
up
dog with them 90% of the time.
cutting up the vegetables, and they put their stuff in there. You hear it searing, and I'm like,
Yeah.
dude,
That's-
I
it
can
is.
fall asleep to that.
It's
stuff.
that ASMR stuff. I'm telling you, that's where it's at right now.
That's it. I couldn't think of what it was. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had one on there that's been hitting really good, and it's just of our grunt
Grunt
tube.
tube, just the sound clip. Basically.
Just a 9-second sound clip of our grunt tube.
Yep.
And there was no deer shown in it.
And you got how many we got on yours, and then on our TikTok we've got over 4,000,
30-some thousand views just
Yeah.
on that one video.
Yeah, so we're close to 40,000 probably.
And I know, like, people interaction, like people interacting with your content, the comments and different things like that. It's good to make sure that you comment back.
Oh, absolutely.
They look at that stuff. They look at the interaction that you have. It's like, Dave is over here monitoring our comments on Facebook because,
Well,
the more interaction, the better it is for the live that's going on right now on Facebook.
Yeah.
So, did we lose you, Chris?
no, he's there.
No, I'm here. Yep,
Okay.
no, I agree with you.
No, you're good.
Taking it in.
Anytime anyone comments to me, I try to give them a thumbs up, the heart, give them a comment back. Again,
Something,
hey,
right.
thanks for the comment. Thanks for watching the video. And if you don't forget to subscribe, that would be great.
Yep.
Always looking for any of those supports. But, yeah, I mean, the videos, it's hit and miss. I'm sure you guys have seen it as well. It's just kind of crazy about, I sit there. Here's one for you. I see some videos that just blow my mind. I saw where a person filmed, they just panned across their leg with a gun laying across it, looking out in the open woods, and it had like hundreds of thousands of views.
wow.
I'm like, what the heck? They didn't even provide you with any tip.
Yeah.
Nothing. No value. It was just them scrolling across their leg with a gun laying on it.
Yeah.
I actually
Right.
had this thing come across my phone the other day. I was looking at the statistics and the analytics on YouTube because it gives me like that quarterly recap or whatever. And after I'd looked at that, it automatically popped up on the screen and wanted me to do a survey and said, here's your time to tell us how we can change things for 2025. So it was like a 10-minute survey that I took, but it went through everything like that. I mean, it went through like, people interaction, because we don't do the monetization thing,
Right.
because you have to have a certain amount of views. And I think that there's things there that need to be changed,
Sure.
because if you're trying to grow your business along with this, I mean, it takes you forever to get 1 million views.
Right.
And most of them you have to have 1 million views before you can even start monetizing.
And then after that,
monetizing.
you still have to have so many a month
You got to have so many subscribers.
and subscribers.
And that's another thing. I was like, it is so hard to get subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that hard on Facebook to get likes. It's not that hard on Instagram to get followers.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard on YouTube to get subscribers?
I don't think it's as a big. I mean, there's a lot of people on YouTube, but I don't think it's as interactive.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the issue
know-
with YouTube. It's not interactive.
I know me personally, like I've already got like 50 subscriptions to things. So when I come across a video, I don't always subscribe. I'll like it, thumbs it up,
Yeah.
whatever,
Mhm.
maybe leave a comment.
Yep.
But a lot of times I'm not subscribing to everything. I'm really choosy with my subscriptions.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's the way it is because,
Yeah.
like on his, I mean,
Well, the more you subscribe to, the more you're going to get flooded. Like, especially if you allow notifications.
just
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
of
that's the-
every
that's the thing.
person
Yeah.
that watched Chris's video on
Like my son
300,000.
has
Yeah,
my
yeah.
YouTube, and he goes and watches these stupid people play with toys.
Yeah.
So I get my phone. I look at my phone. I got 57 notifications from YouTube. I'm like, what is Jolly John's toy barn?
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
yeah,
what
yeah.
the crap is this?
That's funny.
Well, and a lot of it is just getting that content out in front of people. You know, that's like, I was really afraid with this Ahia deer where I wasn't able to actually film the harvest. I wasn't sure how well it was going to be received by people, but for me it was a story I still wanted to tell. But, you know, so far from that video, you know, I'm up to, looks like 7,200 views.
Wow.
And just from that video, I've gained 65 subscribers.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's really good.
So, I mean,
It's-
but yet you take like that 300,000 shorts video, that one gained me, I forget how many hundreds of subscribers.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the grind of it. You just got to keep putting stuff out. That's like my daughter. She she keeps bragging on herself because she's like, I got more followers and subscribers than you guys do.
I was like, we're working on it.
Yeah,
We're working on it.
leave us alone. We're trying. But she's posting at least like a video a day.
Yeah.
You know,
It's-
and we don't really do that.
No.
So
And that's, you know, that's the biggest thing, like Chris is saying. You got to get that content. And that's why, like, you know, if I have a chance, we went duck hunting last weekend. And, no, it was weekend before last.
weekend before last year.
And I get out there and, you know, I've only got one shotgun, so I borrowed Dad's, and I didn't even think about it, but his is just 2 3/4. All I had was 3-inch shells, and I'm like, gosh. So I'm sitting there in the blind with a gun. Trevor's got the one that he can shoot, and I'm like, I'm just going to videotape. I'm going to get some content.
Yeah.
If they're coming through here, and we had a couple flyovers, but other than that, we couldn't get anything to land. But well, Chris, man, it was great having you back on. I know we had you on there with Alec, and we didn't get to talk. Here I'm talking to Dave. We didn't get to talk about your stuff as much as we would like because we were focusing on Alec and that hunt that you brought him here for. But that was a great episode, by the way. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out on our Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube pages. But
Yep.
Chris, we sure appreciate you, man. It was great having you on. Awesome stories.
Yep. Look forward to talking to you again.
Thanks for having me. I always love talking hunting.
Yep, for sure. We'll have to have you on after this spring turkeys. See how that goes.
Can't wait for spring
I'm
turkey. It's
super
gonna-
excited. I'm actually going to be going out to Washington State and Idaho State trying to fill my Merriam tag to be
Nice.
able to try to get the slam done.
Yep.
Nice. We'll be in Wyoming.
We'll be in Wyoming in April.
Nice.
Birthday
Yep.
present for Dan.
Yeah. Yep. So we should have a good time out there. But anyways, we sure appreciate you. You have a good evening.
Thank you, guys. You guys do as well. And if I don't talk to you, have a great spring.
Okay.
Yep, thanks,
Yeah.
you too.
Before you get off, just let everybody know where they can visit your pages there.
Yep. So I'm as you said, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on YouTube. You know, primarily now I've been going through just under me as Chris Ashley on Facebook, but I have on Facebook as well, Passion for the Wild Wonderful. That's also my YouTube channel. Again, like I said, I try to make sure and always have new content coming out, trying to make sure that it's educational, great for, you know, beginning hunters, but also I think experienced and seasoned hunters. And like I said, just trying to put stuff out there for people. So I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Well, appreciate you all listening. Have a good evening. Thanks for watching the live. Be sure to check out all of the links that we post in our descriptions for the episode once it airs. And be sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello, Hunt Chef Nation.
Turn any cooking experience into an extremely wild one with Hunt Chef's delicious dozen seasonings, jerky, snack sticks, and brine kits. All 12 seasonings are packed full of wild flavor. Perfect on pork, beef, chicken, lamb, vegetables, soups, venison, elk, or any wild game. Order today at huntchef.com or call the Hunt Chef headquarters at 724-780-3377. Order today at huntchef.com or call 724-780-3377. And remember, eat what you kill.